had this question asked to me a lot. What do you do once you harvest a deer? How do you field dress it? I'm here to tell you it's not as difficult as it appears to be. I'm going to do a step-by-step breaking it down, explaining why each part is important, and give you some tips and tricks along the way. You're going to need a few things before you start. So the first one is make sure you have a sharp knife. Ideally, that's the only thing that you'll need. If you want to get a little fancy, there's this tool called the butt out that's here. It's the orange thing right here. This goes into the rear of the animal, and then you'll twist it about 1 to 2 times until you feel it pull pretty well. And then once you feel that, you pull out all the way out, and that should pull out the rear cavity. I have put out a couple videos on this before, and let me tell you, the internet has a field day. If this works for you, great. If not, just use your knife. There's nothing wrong with just finding out which way works best for you. Now that that's out of the way, you're going to want to go to the genitals. You're going to want to remove those, and then once that is removed, that is going to be the hole that you're going to continue on from. Now that you have that hole there, you're going to want to work your way down towards where you put in your knife or the butt out. And this is because you want to clean out that cavity a little bit and make the hindquarters spread out pretty much flat so that you have a lot of room to work with, and you're going to want to make sure that that cavity in there is cleaned out. Ideally, when you're doing this, you don't want to create a lot of small cuts because then that's just going to create more hair from the hide. So if you see how we're doing it here, there's not a lot of small hairs going off everywhere and sticking onto the meat. Everything's there in one piece. All right, next you're going to want to position the deer properly. So ideally it should be on the back, just like how it is here. And you're going to want to, if possible, have the deer in a tilted position to where once you're gutting it, all of the insides and stuff are all going to go towards the bottom. This will allow the blood to drain a lot more effectively and kind of prevent it from getting in your way during the process. So you're going to want to start by cutting through the abdomen and make it pretty much all the way up through the center of the deer. And you're going to use your blade. Try not to puncture any of the organs. That's pretty pivotal. If you do puncture it, it's not the end of the world, but you're going to want to make sure that you wash that meat off as soon as possible so none of the meat gets contaminated. All right, so this part right here gets a little difficult. You'll now have to cut through the rib cage, and this could take a little bit of effort, but it's pretty essential because this is how you fully remove the organs. And again, you don't want to damage them, but as you're cutting, just make sure to be careful because, again, you have a sharp knife. And make sure to open up the cavity space like you see here and start cutting away at the sides because this will make it easier once you go to pull all the organs out, and you won't get caught up on any kind of pieces that are stuck on the side. So make sure that you're doing that before you actually get up to the esophagus. All right, I know some hunters like to do this and some don't, but I like to pretty much go all the way up to the neck and then reach in there for the esophagus. Some guys like to stick their hand in there, but I prefer efficiency. We're not going to mount this deer, so there's no point in not going all the way up, but this allows you to get a hold of that, and then you're cutting out what you can and pulling down at the same time. As long as you made all of your cuts on the side, this should pull out relatively easily. If it doesn't, just take your time, go back through, kind of see where it's getting caught up on, and just take your knife and cut it down, just kind of what you're seeing here. I would say more oftentimes than not, most of the times that I get caught gutting a deer is down here at the bottom. I a lot of times just get little remnants of pieces that still get attached, and I just take my knife and just clean it up at the back, and for the most part it usually comes out pretty clean. Again, it's starting to get stuck, so you just take your knife, cut away at the little spots of where it's getting stuck at, and then just continue to pull. You might have to do this in micro adjustments, but a lot of the times once you get that main part that's stuck, it usually comes out pretty easily. All right, so the next step is to flip the deer over just to get out all of the blood. So usually you just take the legs and just kind of lay it out as flat as possible, not trying to get the meat contaminated. Again, this is just the way that we field dress deer. If you have any tips or tricks or anything else like that, please let me know in the comments. Maybe something that you do differently. I know some guys like to hang them up and then field dress them. I've never really done it that way, but again, let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.